Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Bon dia, Graham Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show live stream on the podcast. How are you this morning? We've got a lovely ticket giveaway, Les Indes de Galant. I did mention this yesterday, but we didn't get round to actually describing how the competition might work this morning. It's not been helped by a few technical difficulties behind the scenes, posting things up on the GMP VIP site. But anyway, we'll do our best this morning to bring to you two excellent tickets of the performance on the 20th of October. So what, 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks away. Les Indes Galant Gulbenkian Orchestra and Choir presenting Jean-Philippe Rameau's Les Indes Galant concert version. And I'll tell you more about that a little bit later on as we give that pair of tickets away. If you are taking part in that, if you'd like to be the recipient of those tickets, brought to us courtesy by the generosity and kindness of T-Duck, please make sure you are available on the evening. No point winning the tickets if you can't actually go. They're a great couple of tickets. It's the most fabulous venue. We'll be learning more about Gulbenkian, the venue, the man, because that's our learn about Portugal quiz question today as well. August Gulbenkian, Mr. 5%. Why is he called that? We'll find out, or you'll guess as to why later on, and that's part of winning the tickets. Also joining us this morning, of course, as well as August Gulbenkian, in a way, we have a bit of Tony time for you this morning at 9, and a bit of Bruce time as well. Bruce Hawker joins us for the first time. Media boss Bruce Hawker, publisher, founder, owner of a number of titles in the Algarve mainly, and of course the Portugal resident all across Portugal and the world. Bruce Hawker joins us at 9:30, so looking forward to having a chat with Bruce and introducing him to you in a new monthly residency. Bruce Hawker, everybody, from Open Media, publisher of the Algarve Resident, the Portugal Resident, and another number of other titles that he'll tell us about later on today at around 9:30. So who's in this morning? Coach Turner's in. James is in. James, forgot to do those dad jokes. Let's do all of those soon, shall we, before we forget them again. The Ancient Marinator is in. Pete, where have you been? Pete is in as well. And Antonio Barbosa, but Tony Time himself is here already and will be joining us at 9. Jean's in too. How are you all doing this morning? Chalk tablets. Is Dr. Bleach prescribing already this morning? Let's see what Coach Turner had to say at 7:20 this morning. Is Deagle here in Portugal? Yeah, bom dia e feliz 30. That's a nice new one there, Coach T. Training this afternoon and coaching this evening. But first, coffee. Have a wonderful day, Gumpers. Your God Squad tip of the day. We have discussed HIIT training a number of times, but not looked at what sort of exercise it should be. Now, I was having a look at excuse me a minute. I've just reminded myself of the time in the gym yesterday. It was a busy day yesterday. It was a real mix of... you'd be proud of me, Coach Turner. I was in the gym. I did one of my workout routines. Whilst waiting for one of the machines, I got on a running machine for the first time in there and ran half a kilometre while I was waiting for the Peck Fly Delta generator thing. So ran half a kilometre whilst waiting, and then went and swam in the sea after my workout with daughter Minnie. So very busy day ahead of my boozing in the evening with the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club And we saluted those two Portuguese classics, Aguardente and Ginger, and we mixed them up as well. So I'm in remarkably good shape considering. Still continuing to lose weight and buff and tone myself a little bit. A bit of all-round good fun, gentle fitness for bon viveurs, absolutely living that dream, Coach T. You'd be proud of me. And you're talking about HIIT training, a high-intensity intermittent training. And I saw a machine where I think you lift weights whilst running. Nobody was using it. It looks quite complex and potentially dangerous. Anyway, most research has studied people on exercise bikes. This is mainly because the participant, says Coach Turner, can easily be monitored. Bikes are good for aerobic fitness work, but HIIT exercise is anaerobic. You shouldn't be breathing heavily. Bike riding also only works with the legs and isn't weight bearing. Okay, so the latest research is suggesting sprinting. That's your bag, isn't it? To be the optimal high intensity exercise burst of 10 to 20 seconds with good recovery. Excellent. This works the whole body. And of course, can be done just while you're walking along the street, right, Coach T? You can have a walk and you can have a burst of high intensity, faster walking, can't you? Have a sort of bit of a sprint walk. I think you've made reference to that previously. So it works the whole body, the sprinting, naturally weight-bearing exercise, and increases the body's production of hormones, including testosterone and human growth hormone. Both help to keep the aging process at bay. But then I would say that, wouldn't I? Yes, of course. A masters sprinter. When is your next fixture, Coach T? I did ask you and I've forgotten. But it'd be great to be able to think good things and wish you best wishes and good thoughts as you take part in your next competition. So thank you very much for that. The Ancient Mariner also in this morning, just after 8. Good morning, all. We had thunderstorms in Dorset yesterday. Off to my hot date with the French Visa Bandits today. That's not a band that are going to be playing at Glastonbury that we were talking about yesterday, is it? The French Visa Bandits would be a great name for a kind of gypsy jazz band, wouldn't it? I hope you all have a pleasant and fulfilling day. So what's he up to, I wonder? Bom dia todos, feliz terça. 30, terça, what's the difference? Como va, says James. And yeah, okay, I think I should, we have quite the build-up of dad jokes, a visual from yesterday, and something I'm going to be reading out. So it seems only right to issue this right now.
Warning.
Right, so what's James saying this morning, as well as the visuals that came in from Suze and him yesterday? Dad joke warning, do you believe in the hereafter? I do too, because at my age, I walk into a room and I wonder what I'm here after. Sorry, I wonder what I'm here after. Oh, I say, I wonder why I'm here after, maybe as well. Sorry, I ruined that. But you get the gist. Bondi Ian, I've been doing 3 20-second bursts of burpees each morning with a full recovery between. Nice. And no heavy breathing. Calm down, Pete. Would you consider this a good alternative to sprinting? Excellent question. Good stuff. Although it looks like the coach might have already gone. No, he does answer that. Fantastic. Thank you for that answer, which is burpees sound like great exercise. Could you describe to those who might not know what they are, exactly what they are, or send us a video maybe, James? Phil feels, is it when you drop down onto you squat on the floor and you thrust forward the knees and back like a frog? Is that what burpees are? And does that include the jump up as well between like 5 lots of each? I think we need a link to a burpees. Burpees sounds like a kind of cat as well, doesn't it? We need a link to a video, I think. Phil fills all the requirements, including weight bearing and all body work. So yes, full marks for you. No competitions until early next year. Indoor season starts in January. Okay, so we can't support you just yet, but I'm sure you'll be training all the way through up until then. But do let us know, please. We'd love to celebrate all the good work and the brave things that Gumpers are doing from this community. Do let us know. Tell us about your hobbies, everybody, all you Gumpers, all you lurkers. Tell us about your hobbies and interests and passions so that we can join in the fun with you and share and support with you. Where did we get to? Burpees. Oh, Pete's here. Have you considered chalk tablets, James, for your burpees? Whenever I have window burps, I find that helps. No, Pete, that's not what we're talking about. Bon dia todos from Jean this morning, and Pamela as well. Pam Smith is in. Yes, big breaking news. Absolutely. We'll be talking about this, I'm sure, with Bruce Hawker. From next year, they are scrapping the NHR scheme for new residents. We are keen to find out how that's going to work. That will be making Portugal less attractive to foreigners. No question about that, right? Gutted to have missed the wine club, you say as well. Our lessons are 7 to 10 p.m. on a Wednesday and Monday. So, yeah, we have the first Monday of the month for the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club, Pete. So you'll miss that until December. James, when I was doing my fitness drives, I combined burpees with sit-ups and the plank. The latter always used to kill me. Why did you stop, Pete? I wonder. Oh, look, Sylvia's here trying to give us between £2,000, I think, and 500. 5 million is that? 5 million euros on offer. If you just click on the WhatsApp there, not from me, I hasten to add. And it looks like I can't flip in delete or stop that spam. Can someone report that for us? That'd be great if you can do that. I don't think I'm going out on all my destinations either. Let me just add the show to the Good Morning Portugal Facebook group and the Food, Wine and Fun Times groups as well. Just doing that right now as we speak. Okay, so here's what a burpee is. It's nothing that needs the remedy of chalk tablets. Stand to squat, to straight legs behind, to push, press up, to jump, and repeat. Well, that's really settled it and made it very clear. Not. I need a video with these sorts of things. I'm a visual person in many ways, and mainly auditory. But that word salad there has not helped at all for me. It may have helped others, I'm sure, of course, James, and thank you for it. And I did say we've got visual dad jokes from you, didn't I? And to Pete, that was so much more than I opt to commit to. I claim lazy, a longer, healthier life is my primary motivation. Otherwise, what's the point? Pam, if anyone is looking for a new hobby, Universidade Senior are just starting up, where you can do a variety of courses in art, exercise, and things like history. Some even have Portuguese lessons. So there you go. The Senior University, the University of the Third Age, I think, as it's called in some places as well. It's like basically an evening class, isn't it? For those of a certain age. What would that be, Pam, in Portugal? Is that 50 plus people who can go to Seniors University? I think just the name will put some people off, but come on, don't be like that. And of course, doing a course in Portuguese will help you with your Portuguese as well. I think the aguardente might have hurt my throat a little bit last night, although I did find a really nice one, Fan de Seculo, in a very nice dimpled bottle. I remember this person, Portuglish. Let me see now. Yes, yeah, I remember you. How are you, Portuglish? 50 plus, okay, for the Seniors University. All right, let's have a look at those visual dad jokes then. Get your glasses, everybody. Not for aguardente or for ginger or ginginha, so you can actually see what's going on the screen. This was one that came in from Sue's yesterday. This is just margarinally funny. Is that butter? And it's no, it's Stonehenge. I can't believe it's not butter. Thank you, Suze, for that. And thank you, Mrs. M, for coming in like a B&B landlady with your dressing gown on and delivering me a coffee. Thank you very much. That's much needed. And staying with food, I don't like clowns, says Hannibal Lecter. Why? Do they scare you? Asked the clown. No, says Hannibal Lecter. They taste funny. I've got my comment just scrolling past that. I think that's what the punchline is. Yeah, no, they taste funny. The ticker tape is telling you that we have a touch of Tony time at 9, and Tony will be presenting to us more fabulous property. And of course, talking to us, he's a star of the show tonight. It was his idea to put on the webinar this evening, the Get Real on Portuguese Real Estate from 8 o'clock this evening, a Portugal Club presentation. So really looking forward to that. And I'm sure the NHR scrapping will come up this evening, among other things, where you can get your questions answered and your concerns addressed. So yeah, not only about the NHR, but all aspects of dealing with buying and renting here in Portugal. Getting real on Portuguese real estate, your questions answered, your concerns addressed. Feels to me like I should put the link for that into the chat as well now. So I'm just about to find that for you and share that with you. Yeah, that's tonight at 8 o'clock, a Portugal Club presentation. So the Portugal Clubbers will be there in the front row. And we've got quite a few bookings for that. It will stream from the Good Morning Portugal website as well. So slightly different, not our average or usual live stream. This one a bit different, streaming from the web page. And I think it does look like a StreamYard live stream, but there are extra facilities with it, including, of course, the ability to register for that webinar, which you can do on the link there. I believe that is the case. I'm going to just I'll try it myself before I share it any further. Let me just take that off the screen. Yeah, or nearing 70, 50 plus. What? Do you feel senior, Pete? What does that make those nearing 60? Yeah, or nearing 70, as Coach Turner is as well. Okay, 50 plus, though, is the answer to the question. How old do you have to be to enroll in the Seniors University here in Portugal? Okay, let me have a look. Yeah, okay, so the link does work. The link that I've just put on the screen there for you. We still got lazy flies in the studio this morning. Have you got those where you live? A lovely warm day yesterday, and I think it does prolong the life of of the flies. I had a swim in the sea yesterday, as I said. It was still warm enough to do that here on the Silver Coast. And when we spoke to the Austins in Algarve last night, who joined us on the wine club session, they were very hot. They had a very hot day over there. So that's what it looks like. If you go to that link, let's get real on Portuguese real estate. And I think because I've already registered, no, there you go. If you want to register, you can do that on the screen. There you go. Excellent stuff. That's the registration process. No cost for that, just in case you are concerned about having to pay for that. It's a free webinar. And headlining that, our man who's joining us at 9 this morning, Tony Barbosa, will have American in Portugal and specifically in the Algarve, Veronica, on that panel as well, alongside Carl Hyde and Vitor Costa from up there at Ponte Lima, Barcelos, Viana do Castelo as well. Carl's age, as you know, they are doing it for enjoyment as they don't have the years left to use it professionally. I don't know what you mean there. Oh, I see. Is that the people going to university in older age? They're doing it for enjoyment as they don't have the years left to use it professionally. Well, if people are going to be living to 100, maybe they will. Some of my undergrads were 40 plus. Yeah. I mean, as they a bit like youth is wasted on the young. You could say the same sort of thing about education. And what a shame it is that education is so geared to work and not just the unfoldment and evolution of the human spirit. Antonio is here as well. Bom dia todos. And I started lessons at university at 44. They made an exception for the Portuguese language at Universidade Senhor. Oh, so you're allowed at 44 rather than 50 plus. Cheers, Pam, for all that information this morning. James Meehan of Sabia, remember him? The prof did undergrad units at Birkbeck College, part of UCL. I had 2 octogenarians and someone in the 90s in one class. Sabia, was he a teacher as well, or was he in the class? So refreshing having people of Carl's age. I see what you did. I should read these out in order to get the right gist of them. Okay, so yeah, Pete's suggesting there somewhat scandalously that I am 70 plus possibly there, and the oldies tend to do it for enjoyment rather than for career prospects. Yeah. Okay. The ticket giveaway then. Should we do that now? And we'll go to the question over there at GMP VIP. We've got Tony to come at 9 and Bruce Hawker debuting at 9:30. Media boss Bruce Hawker joining us. He is the owner of the Algarve Resident, the Portugal Resident, publisher thereof, and also a number of other titles. Bon dia, Carlito, and the gang. Is it Tony time? So there are 2 people who call me Carlito. One of them is Tony. He'll be here at 9, and Frank as well. Good morning, Frank. Where were you? Thought you might be joining us for a spot of aguardente and ginger in the same glass. And I tried ginger tonico, which was quite nice. And what else did we have? Aguardente with ginger ale, which was very nice too. Okay, let me bring onto the screen the question for today then. And this is a giveaway. Les Andes Galantes. Let me go back to that first then before we do the question this morning and tell you a bit more about this gig that's happening on the 20th of this month of October, 17 days away. And we will just tell you a little bit more about the gig that you can go to. Tickets courtesy of T-Duck. This lovely lady here, I think she is probably one of the soloists for this performance of Les Andes Galantes. And that's the Gulbenkian Choir and the Gulbenkian Orchestra under the leadership of Leonardo Garcia Alarcon, the conductor. Let me tell you a little bit about the music itself and the performance. Okay, what we have for you is, after witnessing, this is Jean-Philippe Rameau, the creator of this music. After witnessing a display of Louisiana Indian dances performed in Paris by Mechigaima chiefs, I hope I pronounced that correctly, in 1723, French composer Jean-Philippe Rameau was inspired by what he witnessed to create an opera ballet entitled Les Indes Galantes, a masterpiece of the Enlightenment. It's described as Les Indes Galantes starts from the desire to encounter distant cultures, Turkish, Inca, Persian, or Native American, from a fascinated European gaze. It must have been amazing to see that in 1723. Rediscovered in the 20th century, the work was previously conducted by the maestro Leonardo Garcia Alarcon, who now presents it in its concert, not ballet version. And you can see this thanks to T. I mean, you can buy a ticket on the link that I will pop in the chat for you. You can buy your own ticket, but if you'd like a couple of tickets for that, the better class of ticket as well, I hasten to add, you can buy them there on that link, or you can win them by going to the gmpvip.com site, which I'm going to do now. Let's remove that and go over there and check out the question that you need to answer today on the Learn About Portugal quiz at learnaboutportugal.com as well. That is the classroom section of gmpvip.com. Struggling to bring this to the screen. I've forgotten how to do all these things. Is that how Aguadent gets you, do you think? Okay, let me get out of that particular screen. Oh, Tony's here. Let's crack on then and give you the quiz question over at learnaboutportugal.com. There it is on the screen for you now. So why Mr. 5% is the question today. It is your Learn About Portugal quiz question and the Gulbenkian ticket giveaway. Calouste, what did I call him? I called him August earlier on. Forgive me. Calouste Gulbenkian, nicknamed Mr. 5%, was a British-Armenian businessman and philanthropist. He played a major role in making the petroleum reserves of the Middle East available to Western development and is credited for being the first person to exploit Iraqi oil. Somewhat bittersweet, right? When he died in 1955 at the age of 86, he was thought to be the richest man in the world, and the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation, a private foundation based in Portugal, was created in 1956 at his bequest, continuing to promote the arts, charity, education, and science throughout the world. The question is, to win that prize pair of tickets, let us know in the comments why, over here at GMP VIP, that is, why Gulbenkian was known as Mr. 5%. And please confirm that you're able to attend on the night of the performance. That'd be great. GMPVIP.com. Go over there to win those tickets. The foundation is now among the largest in Europe and hosts in Lisbon, of course, one of the world's greatest private collections of cultural and historic artifacts. It really is the most superb museum, collection, art gallery. And that's where, of course, on Friday, the 20th of October, you'll be able to see Les Indes Galantes with the Gulbenkian Orchestra and Choir, who are also resident there. There's also, I mean, beyond the collections, there is a science faculty, I think. There is the concert hall. There is a modern art gallery, and there are, I think, at least 3 places where you can eat, of course, here in Portugal. At the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation in Lisbon. So pop over there, gmpvip.com. It is the pinned post over there right now. Let's see who else is here this morning before we go say hi to Antonio Barbosa. The big news, of course, is that the NHR is looking like it's going to get scrapped. The big news in the Portuguese papers last night. And I am getting messages already about the NHR because, of course, the mais habitação measures that have been controversial and dominating the property and Portugal political news just recently were finally, I think the word is promulgated by the president. I don't think he was entirely happy about it, but that's gone through as of yesterday, I believe. Meanwhile, there were protests over the weekend still about them, but they've been promulgated by the president. So the protests will have come to naught, it appears. And now we move on to the possible controversy and the impact of scrapping the NHR. And that was in the Portuguese press yesterday evening, and I believe will be surfacing on the Portugal Resident soon. In the English-speaking Portugal news sources, of course, and we'll talk to, I'm sure Tony will have something to say about that in a few minutes' time, as will Bruce Hawker, who is joining us at 9:30, the boss over there, the publisher of the Algarve Resident and the Portugal Resident. What's this? Yes, Cole, you should read the comments in order. Funny how suddenly they make so much more sense. Yeah, I know. Okay, fair enough. But it's very hard not to read comments when I see them that ask things like, apropos nothing in particular, when is the next Barefoot broadcast scheduled to take place? That's Mrs. M, and I think she's taking a bit of a break. She's really overworked herself just recently, and she's having a few days off, I think, from the Barefoot broadcast. But there are lots of great replays you can enjoy, and you can join her community as well and have a chat about some of the points and issues raised on the recent Barefoot broadcasts. If one already has the NHR, does it still apply? Well, that's the big question for so many in this community, of course, because you already came here and took advantage of it. And typical of people who live near amazing things, the Gulbenkian is so close to me, and yet I still haven't visited it. So you should. I don't often should on people, but you must visit the Gulbenkian. And you can win a couple of those tickets if you are a GMP VIP over at gmpvip.com. Thanks to T-Duck. If you already have NHR, you keep it, Andy. Yeah, and that would appear to be the case, right? With these, same with the Golden Visa, those who skinched through and managed to take advantage of particular sweeteners, perks, regimes, still have their access to those things. It's those coming after you in your wake that will be having the problem. John Heimbach would normally be on the show with Tony on a Tuesday, on the first Tuesday of the month, but is away still. However, tomorrow we will feature some of John's wonderful correspondence from, well, not just Colorado, but all over the United States, it would appear. So some lovely pictures to share with you tomorrow from John. This morning, of course, we're talking about property, real estate with Tony Time in a few minutes, and with Bruce Hawker, this news about the NHR coming up a little bit later on as well at 9:30. So do join us tonight for the Let's Get Real on Portuguese Real Estate webinar this evening. I'll put that link for you on the screen one more time. Actually, probably not one more time, several more times, because Tony is with us to chat about it as well. It was his idea, in fact, to put this on as people were becoming more concerned about boom and bust here in Portugal when it comes to real estate. Tony said, come on, let's address some of these questions for people. Tonight is the night for doing that, a Portugal Club presentation thereof. I'm trying to find that link now. Thank you for all your comments, but it does make it harder for things I've posted earlier on in the session. Okay, that's going in. I found it, and that's going in there now. There you go. But they are not issuing new ones. Pete seems to be all over this. From when? From when, Pete? From your... What was your news source on that? Were you reading the Portuguese press, Peter? That is the link for tonight's webinar. Get Real on Portuguese Real Estate. Okay, let's not hang about any further. Let's bring him onto the screen. But first, of course, we give him a nice big round of applause. It is Antonio Barbosa, our man in the Minho. So let's have a little bit of Tony time. Bang on 9 o'clock this morning, my friend. How are you?
Bom dia. Hi, Carlito. And hello, everyone.
How are you, Tony? Where are you this morning? You don't have a backdrop for us to have a look at this morning, it would appear.
Oh, don't I? Oh, I have usually the Foz do Rio Minho. We're in Spain, right? But I'll keep it light today, so no distractions.
All right. Well, we've got a busy day ahead of us.
Okay. I mean, we're on now. But I'm in Valencia today. I'm in Valencia today. Excited.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited for later as well, Carlo.
Yeah, it does seem to be that we're talking over each other a bit, and you may have a little bit of a delay. But it's Tony time. I think that's Frank, who's very pleased to see you. Bromance on the screen here, Tony time. And maybe could you give us your take on how you're seeing this evening going, Tony?
I think it's interesting because, a lot of people may have a few misconceptions about real estate here. And it's good to put, because a few changes have been made and into the new housing measures, mais habitação, a few things have been eliminated. And changes have been made, especially, and so it's good to talk about it and get it out there, because so people know, and so you don't create any misconceptions, get it straight, and that's what it's about. So, and because people will continue to move here and need to know about, they're not going to live under a bridge, right? So how the housing market's going, where it's going, the projections, the values. So it'll be a nice conversation.
Yeah, it'll be a time to unpack all of these things. Won't it? It does seem like it's been pretty frenzied just recently with the Mais Habitation measures they went through last night, promulgated by the president. And now, next thing we know, the threat to the NHR. Are you up to speed on that? What do you think that might mean for people in terms of people considering Portugal as a destination?
Our prime minister, I think he has a knack for getting on TV and making these announcements that kind of disrupt markets and people just like, hey, what's going on? So he went on TV last night, right? That's part of the CNN network to announce that the end of it in 2024. Basically, for anybody that thinks some changes need to get done, you got to remember something. But you can't. Some changes, it's just like that needed to be turned around. Like the program was around since 2009, right? The NHR was created, and you remember you used to have for 10 years zero tax. Okay, back in 2019. So for 10 years, back in 2019, now it's a 10% flat tax rate. So some changes are made. And these are the things that whenever you have to see where the economy going, where the country's going, what's working good, keep it going. But there's certain things that do need to be changed. And that is because he's looking out for the Portuguese citizens as well. And that even, you got to remember something. It wasn't even just for foreigners, Carl. Anybody that lived in Portugal, Portuguese citizen, that traveled abroad, that was not a fiscal taxpayer in the last 5 years, can also took advantage of that program. And that was great. Why? A lot of people left Portugal back in 2012 after the financial crisis, and they went to work overseas, medical doctors, skilled professionals. What did Portugal want to do? They wanted to get them back. So they had to entice them. When Portugal, people have a very thin memory or forgot that we were bankrupt. I can remind them every single day. We were under the help of the International Monetary Fund, the European Union. We were bankrupt. So we created these programs to attract people to here. What was Portugal before 2012? Anybody remember walking around Lisbon and Porto? Maybe you don't. Well, I can tell you, everything was crumbling, and there's still a lot to get done. But that's what it's been attractive. Portugal is on the map, the tourism, everything. We should be happy and proud what we've done. There's things that need to get changed. I don't doubt it. And so, removing the NHR program, I don't know if it'll do. I think some changes will need to get done because I don't think it's fair. I think it's people now at this point where we're more than at a level. Okay, I feel that at one point we don't want same reasons that people come to Portugal for the schools, for the education, for the safety. Okay, infrastructures. Somebody's got to pay for those infrastructures, and the government or the taxpayers don't have enough to pay for this. We don't want the government to shut down and not have money and continue the great medical service that you get and the education and everything and the police force. All these people, I think they're underpaid. They need to get paid. And how do you get that? Through taxes, right? And if you removing, we're somebody that's myself, we're on a progressive tax bracket. We can't get a 10% or zero. Why should anybody else? It worked its purpose. But from now on, the same reason and the level of service that everybody expecting to get out of Portugal, if we continue on the path that we're on, it's not going to be attractive for people. So you have to make changes. And that's really, I think it's always great to make those changes. It worked. Okay, let's figure it out. But I think, instead of announcing it that we're going to end it or this, I think my problem is always that people just kind of open their mouth and they start talking without really having a plan. You know what I mean? They say, oh, we're going to end it in 2024. All of a sudden, everybody just kind of, some of the questions were that people were going to be, anybody that's in the program, it's going to be grandfathered clause. Okay. I think that's something that probably, it was the same way with the golden visa. They wanted to eliminate it on February 16th, if you remember correctly. And, until last Thursday, people were still, if they were, until the president put his rubber stamp on it, you were able to go through golden visa. Until once you put the rubber stamp, then it's off the table. Now it's
yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and so some changes were made. I'm happy for that, though. I'm happy because Portugal still needs to be on the right track to attract foreign. And there's so much because Portugal, I always say that, okay, golden visa or not, Portugal is still golden. Okay, golden visa doesn't even represent. I'm happy. Golden visa or not, Portugal is still golden. Okay, and it's gonna be. You got to compare. If you're moving around, everybody's moving around the world. Do your due diligence and why you should choose Portugal. Maybe it's not for you. I think we've talked about this a lot. Some people want to change Portugal. No. You're not going to change, but Portugal may change you, my friend, and it's still going to be attractive.
Very good. Okay, thank you for your analysis on that. We'll get more from Bruce when he joins us at 9:30 as well. We're going to be being introduced to Bruce Hawker of the Portugal Resident. I don't know if you've got a busy day over there in Spain there, Tony, but you're very welcome to join us and meet Bruce as well. He knows a lot about this subject, and we'll have a view on it, of course. Darren's a bit confused this morning. Hey, how's Republic Day? I don't know if you're thinking it's Republic Day today, but that's on Thursday. Darren, maybe what he means by that is how should one celebrate it? So that would be a useful question, whether he means that or not. What should we be doing on Republic Day, which is the 5th of October, happening this Thursday, Tony?
The U.S. has the 4th of July. Well, maybe we have. So bring out the barbecue, the burgers, the hot dogs, the beer, the wine. Just have a merry old down fest. Celebrate it.
And for the people who do that every day anyway, what should they do?
It's just a normal day. It's just
okay.
Have fun. You want to do really something crazy. If on October the 5th, normally, I'm available. Invite me to lunch or dinner. Don't invite me to work. Invite me to, for 5th of October, and I'll help you celebrate. We'll find a way.
Well, he's in Porto, where he's saying you're talking about paying for the police, which of course will be raised through taxation, their wages, and yeah, I think most people would agree, wouldn't they? They might disagree on the way to raise it, but I think a lot of people would agree that public service workers in Portugal need a pay rise. But Darren says there's way too many police already. Reduce the police force and increase the dog wardens. Is he saying that? Is he saying that because he lives in Porto? Possibly. That's an interesting view. Do you share that at all? Too many police officers? No, I don't think so.
There's enough. They're actually the recruiting. I have quite a few friends involved in the police and high levels. Even when the police need help from other police, they call my friends. The couple of them. They have the battalions. They do all the bigger protections. No, there's not enough. I think that's what makes it, when you go, okay, maybe there's enough police in certain areas in the country, but I think there's never enough. I think that's what makes it very attractive. If you go to certain countries in the Caribbean or something, you go to Cuba, do you know how many police officers are every corner, like every 10 meters or so? I'm not saying get to that level, but there's room. Because it takes the burden off. You got to remember something. It's not enough because it may seem, but they're working almost like, continuously. You got to give them a little break, and the police, like policemen, I always say that, it's probably one of the most unhappiest professions in the world. So they need a little time and, psychologically and everything, but you need them to protect. You need them here, protect and serve. And that's what it's about. There's never enough.
Yeah, I think Darren is saying that from a Porto perspective. Porto has police to watch over fibre installations and roadworks. That was something I noticed as a foreigner, actually. But they're not usually the GNR. These are the traffic cops often, aren't they, who come to make sure that things are safe around installations on the roadways. But I understand your point there, Darren. Portuguese on this matter of the police is saying the problem is that the police are paid minimum wage and have to buy all of their own equipment and uniforms. That doesn't sound great, does it? So yeah, pay rise for them. And to answer your question, Darren, on Republic Day, 5th of October, this Thursday, the establishment of the Republic is celebrated with military parades, as well as barbecues, raising of the flag and playing of the national anthem in Lisbon City Hall. In addition, there are speeches by the president of Lisbon's municipality and the president of the Republic. There's also the imposition of decorations on civilians and the delivery of swords at the military academy, which are made by the president of the Republic. However, events may change each year. Did you think of something else there, Tony, whilst I was reading that out?
No. What came to mind, no, I don't want to interrupt you, but what came to mind was back in COVID. I think sometimes people forget about a lot of things. They do. Maybe it's the wine or the cheese, which is really really good here. And so people kind of forget. But do you remember back in the COVID times and the police, the firemen, the teachers, the this, the service, the nurses, the doctors, every night they said we need everybody like let's give them more raises, etc. What happened? I think it's important to remember that these are vital. They're vital for us to have. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. We got you.
And so it's vital to continue these services and have them, and because that's what makes attractive for people. Once that goes away, Portugal's not going to be that enticing. Then I can move to Brazil. Then I can move to Mexico. I can move to a lot of other countries. This is where because you feel these things, and they're great too.
Yeah, you do. And this is very interesting. Thank you, Antonio, for your continued commentary. The police that you might see watching over roadworks and even in the supermarkets, those services are done as overtime and paid by those companies. So the cynical might say, in the absence of a decent pay rise, those personnel are getting paid by the private sector. And indeed, at the casino in Lisbon, where it sounds like Portuguese might be a regular, that has uniformed police on the door. Maybe they're doing overtime. Maybe they are hired by the private sector and in those in that sort of capacity. Because you see them sometimes, don't you? You know, I'm in Lidl or in one of the supermarkets, Auchan, and there's a uniformed cop just keeping an eye on things. So perhaps that's the same thing, and they're doing the overtime there and helping you to feel safe in those establishments. Take some armed police with you if you go to Brazil. I think that was the point you were making there, Tony, right? That you like the presence of the police and the sense of safety that it brings here in Portugal. Right, perfect. Okay, let's have a little look then. You tend to bring with you a beautiful property, and today is no exception to that. We have morning, Neil. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining us last night on the wine club, which wasn't wine as it turns out. It was aguardente and ginger. And for Darren, that makes sense when there's armed police at the mini presso directing the queues. Yes, that's been explained now. And the casino also has a professional, nervous, chain-smoking Asian guys who have perfected the smell of sweat and fear. Another thing to look, the smell of sweat and shame. That's just a normal aroma, I think, in a casino, isn't it? And what goes on in the casino should stay in the casino, especially if it smells like that. Okay, lovely property. Let's move away from that for a moment and look at this lovely property. We've got a little bit of a video. We'd love to show your videos, Tony. So should we start with this and then talk about it afterwards?
Nah, I hate showing properties. No way, Carlo.
Okay, let's do it, and he'll tell you all about it afterwards.
Hello, everyone, and bom dia, alegria, good morning. And here, looking at this beautiful property in Valença do Minho that we will be putting on the market very shortly. It's a modern home. 3 bedrooms plus an office, or bedroom rather as well. 3 baths, 3 full baths. 2 of them are en suites. Manicured lawn. Great construction and finishings throughout. And we'll have a look inside it just a bit. But for now, just the exterior. Little sitting area here, also as a carport, but no worries because there's plenty of room for cars. A 4-car garage, 2 doors. And then we'll look at the back of the garden with the fruit trees, room for a pool. And yeah, so this is the back 4-car garage, and there's actually storage as well. And let's look at here. The back side of the house, the garden. It's got own source of water. Whoa, 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 whoa. Bom dia. Hello. Whoa, 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 whoa. This is one of the water wells. It has 2 actually. And yeah, my visitors are here. I'm entering into their space. And here you have orchard, sorted fruit trees. Okay. And definitely room here for a pool, tennis courts, lots of space here. The grounds cover almost 2,500 square meters. And the house is pretty big. I'll show you on the inside as well. And yeah, exterior garden. Right, Poochies? And the life of a realtor. There's another Poochie here. The back side of the house here. Those are two en suites, and another bedroom, as well as then an office. And so yeah, little sitting area here, and let's have a look inside. Within walking distance of the center of Valença, where you have all of services. Okay, so ready to look inside? Here we go. Nice, spacious foyer, hallway here. And you have an open space kitchen with an island. Again, high quality materials, great construction. Fireplace, air conditioning, and they will probably thinking about selling the house furnished, and the furnishings do go well with the home. Here's the entrance hallway. Actually leads downstairs to the finished basement, which is pretty spacious. Wine cellar, etc. No need to go there, but here we have a small, what's an office? Or a bedroom, but used as an office right now. And then you have one of the bedroom en suites. Which is with a shower. Built-in wardrobes. We have another bedroom here with also built-in wardrobes, and then some little storage space here, and then another ensuite. So you have two ensuites here and another full bath. This one has a walk-in closet. This one also is with the shower. Hallways to the bedrooms, right? And here, one more full bath. And yeah, okay, new listing here, Valença do Minho, within walking distance to the center of town, literally 5 minutes walking, where you have all the services, supermarkets, health center, and for day-to-day living. Big family, well, definitely reach out, more details soon.
Very nice, Tony. Beautifully presented. Beautiful. What's this? But way too many neighbors for me. Interconnecting en suites, good for the more adventurous couple. Okay, so feedback coming in already. That's a beauty, isn't it, Tony? Very nice indeed. Anything else you want to say about it?
It's as I was doing the video, I didn't even realize the cat was on top of the table. Only afterwards I watched the video. It was and she was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" You know, and it was just, but it's a great home. You know, it's a great home, single floor, downstairs, great finished, and high ceilings. It's lots of light. It's the kind of home that, you know, anybody that would want to live within walking distance of a city. You know, imagine if you're right in, you know, trains, buses, everything. You know, supermarkets, anything you can imagine of all services. You can walk over to Spain. And it's a great value for this market. The house has over 2,000 square feet, over 200 square meters of living space, right? So it's well over 2,000 square feet, plus the land and everything that goes with it and the thing. And the value is 435,000 euros. So for up here, that is a really good value in terms of home. What can you get for 435K in Portugal, right? Within a 5-minute walking distance to any center of a city. And so, but that's about it. But it's a great home.
That's wonderful. And somebody definitely needs to send it to Mrs. Portuguese so that she can see it. And then maybe they'll be the happy owners of that in a few months' time. Does it have a pool? Asks Portuguese.
No, but I will get you a pool. Today, if you could build a pool.
Yeah,
And
okay.
it's,
It's not,
building a pool,
not a big deal, is it?
building a pool is great if you're going to use it yourself. I think putting a pool in is probably one of the worst decisions of a home. It doesn't add value. We're working with people that say, you know what, Tony, we don't want a pool. We don't want the maintenance. We could use the ocean. Adding a new kitchen will add value to a home, not a pool. A pool is a personal decision that nobody will ever give you money back for it. It's one of those things that sometimes, oh, but it cost me 30 grand to put the pool in. Yeah, but nobody wants the pool. Why should somebody pay 30,000 for your own little something that you want? Nobody else wants. So, but a pool is great. I mean, don't get me wrong. In the summer, as long as it's heated, get a heated pool with solar panels. So the energy levels and everything and the cost of doing it, definitely. Because in the summer, spring, summer, even the water, just get it at that right temperature with either a heat pump or using the solar panels, and you're good to go. And invite me over.
Okay, the missus wants a pool. We can sort a pool out, as Tony says there. I have had a pool before. It's an expensive garden ornament. I think that echoes what you were saying there. And Tony's always got world-class properties to show. You always do. That's absolutely right, Tony. And they're always so beautifully presented. But you make a very interesting point about pools there. Things that do add value, things that don't. If you're the sort of person who doesn't want a pool because of the running costs or because it's the wrong shape, or you wanted a tiled one and not a lined one, that's going to put you off, isn't it? Basically, rather than endear you to the property.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have clients all the time, buyers that want to buy a beautiful home, but they don't want a pool because of the maintenance, because of it's the cost. It's a budget. It's a budget thing. I mean, if you have a couple of grand, a couple of 20, 30, 40 grand to spend on a pool, and you can make it, with so much stuff beautiful. I mean, you have pools well over 100,000 if you want. I mean, there's no limit, right? What you could do. There's no limit, but it's a personal choice, a decision, not somebody else. You can't do something to something and it's going to have value for the same way that somebody else does. No, a new kitchen will, changing the tiles on the bathrooms, that's going to add value. A lot of things in the home. A pool is just a personal decision, but you know what? I mean, it's a luxury item, right? It's a luxury item like everything else. It's a luxury. And if you can afford the luxury, by all means have it. I love a pool. I mean, I'm, so I'm not one to criticize anyone with the pool, but it does have its maintenance issues or this. But as long as you get, because you got to remember, especially maybe not in the Algarve and even an essential part of Portugal, Carl, the weather is more attractive. So, but even then, if you don't have that right water temperature, and that's why you got to get solar panels or a heat pump, do it. If you're going to get a pool, that's one of the luxury items. Spend an extra 3 or 4 grand to get it done, because you'll thank me later for it. Because then you have that right temperature. Get a cover overnight. You know what happens in the morning? Like you want to take that nice, or even late at midnight. 1 in the morning, you want to, hey, I just want to go beer back in the pool, no clothes on, or in the morning, right? You just want to go, and you know what happens? You get a lot of moisture, like dew, right? So get a cover, because it won't affect the water temperature. When you pull it off in the morning time, you have a nice warm, or late at night, the water, so it doesn't change the water temperature. Get a cover for it. So there's certain little things that you could do to enhance even the pool itself, but adding value, no.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And it's funny, it's causing a lot of chat here as well. Neil, who's built a home in the Alentejo, I would never have a house in the Alentejo without a pool. No, fair enough. But that's not what we're discussing here. What we're discussing here is whether it adds value or not. And I imagine, it can be a real liability, actually, in some property deals, especially when it's one that hasn't been looked after very well. Although Pete seems to be saying there's virtually no maintenance to a pool. Well, what sort of pool is that? We love ours, but it needs a cover and has to be at least 15 meters long. Darren says, I'm pretty sure some people do look for houses. Of course they do. Again, I think you might be misunderstanding Tony here. You're talking about whether it adds value or not, and clearly a little bit of a controversial thing. I was interested to know, Tony, you mentioned a better kitchen, changing the tiles. What other things do add value? What would be useful things to do rather than spending 25 grand on a pool and expecting the next person to cover that cost?
Make it more energy efficient. Okay. People nowadays, cost of energy, do it. Instead of spending 20,000 on a pool, maybe 20,000 on redoing, just getting it more efficient. Because that's what people look for in the homes nowadays: efficiency, costs down, etc. I mean, we're not talking about, again, we do have those €1,000,000 clients, and for them it's not an issue. That's not even an issue. But we do have clients that, that they want to buy a home of, 2, 3, 400,000 euros, and they think about the running costs of the home. Okay. And so, and the running cost is the biggest, definitely the utilities. And so making it more energy efficient, making it more, again, just modern, what you make it attractive. That's the value that is always going to be there. And new tiles, maybe you have a house that has those beautiful tiles. They're blue and white, and they were done about 20 years ago or 30 years ago, which was you have, what though, Carl, you have people that love that. They're very traditional. They don't want those modern homes or modern tiles. They want that like special something that was like 20, which was very a fad about 30 years ago in construction. That's what existed in materials, right? When people were building homes. And so you have these beautiful tiled bathrooms, and some people, some people love that. We look at houses. No, I could do a little thing here and do a little thing there and a new paint, and they make it wow, and so adding those things, because it's going to be appealing to someone else. If you're thinking one day of selling, people sometimes when they buy a property, I always say that they never think about selling it. They think about buying. But there will come a time when the family gets too big or too small, etc. Then they should be in a position like, we bought a great home, great price, attractive. We're going to find our avatar buyer as well, and they're going to like it. Because otherwise, if you're going to do something drastically, it's just for you, and you're going to that's like a needle in a haystack. Not there is, there's a lot of other people that may be similar to your taste, but doing things that are going to be more attractive to a general audience, and doing the certain things of just adding. I'm telling you, the energy efficiency, and even Portugal, today's standards and what we're doing. And you hear a lot about climate, the change, protecting the planet, efficiency, that's part of it. I mean, it just goes without saying.
Yeah, no, well said. It's funny, everyone's suddenly a real estate expert as well, aren't they? Now we're on the subject of pools. But however, apparently, we're hearing that Pete, we're hearing that Pete uses his pool for ducks or for a radio control boat hobby as well. And this certainly happens, doesn't it? I know people who filled their pools in. These are the ones that they're sick of it going green every winter or being dangerous. I mean, that's the other thing. It is a danger. You have to be very careful, especially if you've got young kids. And this is another repurposing of the pool. I've read of people converting a pool to a greenhouse or some other purpose. That's the Wallapini greenhouse, I think, where you step down into it. And of course, you've got the thermal mass of the earth around you. So that might be a future use of these eco homes. The pool gets turned into a greenhouse. I love swimming. Me too. I go to the sea here, and that's my pool. It's quite big. I love swimming, but I pay €3 to go to the municipal pool and let them deal with the maintenance. That's quite a good call. Let's tell people around the world that the pools of Portugal are amazing, aren't they? You got the sea, you got the river beaches, but municipal pools in Portugal are fantastic as well, aren't they, Tony?
Absolutely, and cheap. You say €3, some are even less. But if you're, but it's real. I mean, I think it's really cheap, and some even have integrated for gymnasiums. You know what I mean? So definitely you can do. It's cheap in that regard. Better you go. It's indoor, and you could use it all year round because it's great in the summer. But in the summer, you can go to the river beaches or the ocean or whatever. Again, pool's a luxury. You have the luxury. You know what? You know what's beautiful about a pool, Carl? This is what it is. 2 or 3 times during the summer. Okay. Entertaining. Exactly. You invite friends that you haven't seen in the summer. It's great weather. Bring, I say to my clients, where's your office? My house. Bring your children. Bring them a bathing suit. Let's talk here in my office. Okay, we could talk. They could play in the pool or whatever. You know what I mean? And you have a that's a real meeting. And you invite your friends and you have a cookout. A barbecue, etc. And you have an old-fashioned pool party. And make sure to invite the neighbors in case the noise and you let them know, hey, this may go to get a little rowdy up until midnight or 1 a.m. So that just do it. Advise your neighbors.
Just Tony having another pool party. We've got Bruce about to join us. Let's resolve these last few comments then. We didn't say how much that beautiful property is on the market for, Tony. Can you reveal that for us this morning?
Nope. It's a secret.
Okay, all right.
No,
You need a
435,000 euros.
435. Okay. Apparently, they won't stop talking about
435K.
pools.
435.
435. Okay. You need a retract. Who doesn't like a retractable cover first thing in the morning? The pool bot, the plant to run it, chemicals, etc. I had a pool guy visit every 2 weeks and rob me every time. Then it needed skimming daily. Not a happy owner of a pool there. I'm thinking of converting
Carl,
our
he made a very good point. He made that Lax comment made a very good point, because imagine that, the pool guy, comes in and just, you're out working, busting your butt, getting that pool, paying all that maintenance, and the wife is there, and you don't know the little relationship that's going. I don't know. You hear it all the time. Maybe it's only in the movies. I don't know. Is it in real life?
Mrs. Robinson, right? Okay, yeah, but it was a great way to impress the ladies way back then. Okay, so maybe a different chapter of his life. Another thing about adding value to properties, include armed police. We don't need that here in Portugal. And going back to your earlier comments before we welcome Bruce onto the screen for the first time, the consistent rating, we should say this, as well as all our pool jokes. And that interesting mystery decoded by Antonio about the number of police you see around the place. The consistent rating as one of the safest countries in the world isn't an accident. The culture and how it influences programs and policies all contribute. Thank you, James, for that. Well said. Let's give him a nice big round of applause now, and welcome for the first time onto the Good Morning Portugal screen. It's Mr. Bruce Hawker. Oh, and let me make space. Oh, we've got a bit of feedback, Bruce. I think you might be listening to us as well as taking part. I wonder if you could turn. Yeah, right. Could you turn off the browser where you're listening to us? I think you've got us open this morning.
Sorry, the browser where?
You're watching the show as well as taking part. So I think that's why we're getting up again.
Hide chat, is that it?
No, I think you need to turn off the browser through which you're watching the show. Or just turn your speaker back a little bit. I believe you've had a busy morning, haven't you, I think? And so we're lucky to have you here this morning. Great to see you here.
Thank you.
Self-echoing, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Bruce, and introduce yourself to the Good Morning Portugal audience?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Bruce Hawker. I've lived here for 45 years. This year, moved here in 1978 with my late parents, and I've worked in publishing pretty much all of my life. In fact, all of my life I've worked in publishing. I'm sure many people listening know the Portugal Resident website and newspaper. And we also have the Essential magazines, such as Essential Algarve. A few other publications here in the Algarve, part of our company. I'm the founder of the company, still run it to this day. I've been doing this for well over 30 years. So it's a lifetime.
Well, it's great to have you here. Absolutely great to have you here. You're getting technical support from our audience who are saying close the other browser or turn off YouTube or Facebook. This often happens on the debut visit, so don't worry, we'll get there.
So I'm on Firefox. If I turn Firefox off, will I stay online?
I hope so. I think it would be a good idea maybe to turn that off. And then
I'm going to quit Firefox, but if I disappear, I disappear.
If you disappear, just... Oh, he disappeared. Okay, let's get you back on again. I'm going to send him a message. Please try the link again. We're keen to hear from Bruce, aren't we, what he thinks about this NHR situation. Okay, and we'll put the wrong
browser.
Thank you, audience, for getting rid of our guest like that, telling him what to do, and then suddenly disappears. Okay, all right. Well,
what a warm welcome, no, Carl.
Yeah,
first
no
day
way
on
to
the
treat
show.
our guests.
What a warm welcome.
Yeah, but we will get Bruce back on the screen there. Okay, here he is again.
Yeah,
Bruce,
but I've come in through Firefox again. It's doing it by default, so I don't know how to.
I don't want to lose you again, basically. So we'll put up with the echo, and we'll do a tutorial another time.
Okay.
So great introduction to you and your illustrious publishing career here in Portugal. Of course, people know the Algarve resident, Portuguese resident. You also encourage people to come to Portugal through a number of conferences and seminars that you do. Could you tell us about those too?
Yeah, so I was back in 2019, pre-COVID. We developed the idea of staging a series of seminar events along the Algarve initially, later in Cascais, and then internationally. So the idea of the seminars is there's like a small exhibition area. We have a sit-down seminar for up to 100 people, and people can gain independent information from tax advisors, from lawyers, from real estate experts, from relocation experts, from doctors, from people talking about education. All sorts of aspects of life in Portugal are covered. And there are 2 seminar sessions during the day, a morning and an afternoon session, identical repeat sessions. And we've staged now 7 of these in the Algarve, 1 in Cascais earlier this year. We've done 2 road shows in the USA this year so far, with 2 different venues each. So that's 4 events in the USA. And we're in South Africa in November with a roadshow event covering Joburg and Cape Town. And then back in the US, which has just been announced yesterday in the press, you may have seen it. We're back in the US in February, going to Austin, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, and Boston. So yeah, it's a very, very busy schedule, and there's obviously still a very strong demand for people to move to Portugal, in spite of everything that the government is trying to do to stop it. It was seen.
What might you be referring to there, Bruce?
Well, obviously we've had the situation already with the changes to the golden visa, but that's never really affected anybody who really wants to come and live here. The golden visa was for people who wanted to have Portuguese residency status and generally not actually live here. What happened last night, which is what created a bit of a busy morning for me, since it was about midnight last night. I got a message from a friend posting something from the Portuguese news. The Prime Minister was on TV last night and announced that the non-habitual residence scheme is being scrapped. So what's widely known as the NHR scheme, which since 2009, NHR has given a effective 10-year tax holiday to foreigners moving to Portugal. This was actually changed a few years ago. It used to be 0%, so there was no tax on pension income. But then they changed that to 10% tax on pension income, and there's always been a 20% tax on income from other sources, so professional income drawn from outside of Portugal. But the whole idea was that foreigners could come here, and for 10 years they could live here and pay a lot less or no tax. Dividend income there was no tax on income from dividends, for example. They're scrapping the scheme. I suppose the only good thing about the announcement last night is that for once there is some clarity in what the Prime Minister has said. So he's made it clear that anybody who has already got NHR status or who secures NHR status by the end of the year will still get their 10 years. That's not what happened when the end of the golden visa was announced. That was mass confusion everywhere, and a lot of very poor reporting by the Portuguese press. But no, at least there is some clarity. The way I look at it is it had to end one day. It's certainly been good for Portugal in some ways. I would agree to some extent. It's probably the thing that should have been singled out before even scrapping the golden visa, because there are a lot of foreigners Italians, for example, here in the Algarve. I don't know how many, but there's certainly at least 1,000 Italians who live here during the winter. They come and they rent effectively an AL property, so a property that was normally rented for holiday lets during the summer. They rent the AL property for just over 6 months during the winter, and then they can they get their Portuguese residency easily as an EU citizen, and then they benefit year round from these tax savings without really contributing much to the Portuguese economy. So that I've never really viewed as being positive. All that's done is pushed up the cost of rents in places along the Algarve, Portimao, Lagos, Faro, wherever. So I can see why he's done that. It's obviously a shame because Portugal does benefit greatly from attracting wealthy people who actually come here, invest in a nice property, put their kids in an international school, or they carry out other investments while they're here. So there's a flip side to it. But it had to end eventually. It couldn't go on forever. That's the way I look at it.
Well said. Very interesting. Okay, so I think we're getting an understanding of what's going on from both you and from Tony. I'm trying to keep my questions down to a minimum so we don't get the echo. But Bruce, you came here, you said, with your parents a long time ago. How has Portugal changed in that time?
I'm one of the few people who would say it's changed for the better. I remember when I was here as a kid, if we wanted to call our family back in the UK, it was an absolute nightmare. I mean, the easiest way to do it was to go to the post office and get them to place a call. This is back in the late 70s or early 80s. The roads, most of the roads around where I live now were dirt roads. Now they're tarmacs. Obviously, that's progress generally. But I think what's happened in Portugal is that a lot of the infrastructure that we've had put in place is far superior to what we see, for example, in the UK. I don't really consider myself British, as I told you before. I actually identify as Portuguese. but if I go to the UK, for example, and drive around, I do regularly because my 3 kids and grandkids all live in the UK, and I rent a car and drive around. The mobile phone coverage is terrible. It's so patchy. And we have things like the automatic toll readers on the roads, which were introduced here. I think we were the first in Europe. Am I correct? I think the multibanco that we have here, the cash teller, when the ATM machine, when it was introduced here, I forget how many years ago it was, but it was light years ahead of the equivalent in other parts of Europe, and it's because it's also new and we had nothing before. So I think Portugal in many ways is better. Obviously, in some ways it's worse. The cost of living isn't as attractive as it used to be, but depending on where you are, you're up north, so it's.
I'm just muting you there so that we don't get the echo. Sorry, I've cut you off whilst doing that. But it was interesting that you said you were one of the few people who thinks it's got better, or you were perhaps in a minority. That's an interesting comment to make. Are you talking about the other Portuguese people who think it's got worse?
No, I'm talking more about expats, I suppose. People who have been here for say 20, 30 years, who remember the quaintness of places like Carguero, where I live, and maybe some of that has been lost. But I just see that as progress, but certainly I think for the average Portuguese person, things apart from the cost of living increases in the last couple of years, things are definitely better. Everything works. We get great Wi-Fi. We've got good roads. It's a great place to live.
Okay, forgive me for a moment as I mute you to avoid the echo there, Bruce. And I want to ask you a couple more questions and bring Tony back in, because Tony, of course, is our man in the Minho. And we do get accused of sometimes talking about Portugal as only being the Algarve, or Lisbon, Porto and the Algarve. And I'm sure you'll have something to say about that. Before we go to that particular conversation and give Tony a chance to respond to that, given all that's going on, and of course, the end of the NHL was inevitable, progress is inevitable, and those golden days that some of the expats might have liked and enjoyed 10 years ago, 5 years ago, are changing. That's going to happen, isn't it? That is progress anywhere in the world. How do you see Portugal in, let's say, another 20 years?
How do I see Portugal in another 20 years? I think that the demand for foreigners living here is going to stay strong. There's still so many attractive aspects of life here. Yeah, I think generally, I think things will keep on improving. I mean, the country is leading the way in Europe in renewable energies. We are. It's a very safe place to live, as you've was speaking about just now. So, yeah, I don't see great changes actually in the next 20 years. I mean, certainly over 45 years, I've seen a lot, but the last 10 years have gone in the bat of an eyelid. So we just celebrated the 10th anniversary of my wife's real estate business here in the Algarve on Friday with a very a great party here at her office in Carbuero, and I just couldn't believe it's been 10 years, and nothing has really changed in 10 years. So I don't see much changing in 20 years.
Brilliant. I'm just muting you up again. Sorry, Bruce, just muting you up again. Tony and I are slightly upset that we weren't invited to that party, but we hope to be now we've met you to see you at the next one in Carbuero. Tony, do you want a Minho resident? Do you want Bruce to come up there? We're going to need a magazine up there soon. I'm sure Bruce is thinking, no way, I've got enough on my plate at the moment. But would you like to see an open media publication up there in the north of Portugal? That's for you, Tony.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm muted. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
Portugal,
good. We'll
you got to
get that
remember
on
something. And I would agree. We organize several events. Well, try to do 1-2 a year. We're actually doing 2 this year, where we have realtors and investors come out, visit, and we're focusing on the Minho. People don't know what they don't know. I would disagree with you in terms of what's going to change in 20 years, Bruce. The interior parts of Portugal, okay, that's where there's room to grow, okay? So you're going to see a lot of development there, because there's no room. There's no room in Lisbon. The prices are outrageous, Porto, etc. So when you talk about infrastructures, when you go to Viseu, Guarda, Trás-os-Montes, beautiful parts of the world to live, okay, maybe it's a little colder. Well, then you're going to have to put more fireplaces and heating. It's hot and cold, but it's affordable. So people are going to want to move where it's affordable. There's still a lot to renovate. Do you know how many old houses are there, and they're beautiful villages that need it? So you're going to have a lot of growth in infrastructures there. We already have. They built the infrastructures, the roads getting there. The Trás-os-Montes, it used to take an eternity to get there. Not anymore. Amarante, Vila Real, Guarda, Viseu, Castelo Branco. Okay, beautiful interior, university cities, all of them. So you're going to see a lot of growth in the interior. The coastal areas, okay, are just going to be unaffordable. Who's bought it are there? So that's going to grow a lot in the next 20 years. I don't think there's anybody here that probably doesn't feel that. And I think in direct response to your question, hey, Bruce, let's work together. I mean, we're here to collaborate. We get a lot of clients. We do a lot of business in the Algarve too. We do it in Lisbon. We do it in the Hazel. My friend, we're here to serve. Okay, we're here to collaborate and work together. If you have the same vision and philosophy as we do, and I think it's important. We're here to serve. And that's what it is. And I'd love to meet with you when I get down to the Algarve or you're here. Let me show you my little backyard. It'll make you change your mind. People don't know what they don't.
Let's unmute him. Let's unmute him.
Northern California. Listen to this. We've been getting so many
Go on, Tony. Sorry, carry on.
In Northern California and the weather, when people are discovering that there exists a place, okay, that in the Minho region where everything is a lot more greener, hey, it's a lot more affordable. I can get double the home. I could put a little more money in my pocket and enjoy the cost of living. You can go in a daily special every single day. I do it, at the maximum now, 10 euros or so. There's some for 7 or 8. You could do that. You could do it a lot of parts in Portugal. And that's what so it makes it affordable for now. But Northern California, Northeast, countries of like Northern Scotland, Ireland, Great Britain in the northern part, they love the weather. Playing golf, you know what? You play, I'm sure in the Algarve, it's hot in the summer playing golf. But guess what? Here with the nice breeze, you could play comfortably golf in the summertime. And in the wintertime, just you got to deal with from November, December, January, maybe a little more rain, but that's about it. If you're not convinced, Bruce, then stay in your sunny Algarve, enjoy your pool, enjoy your, all the things, because this is still the true Portugal, my friend. The true Portugal,
right.
authentic.
Let's bring it
Authentic.
back on.
You go to a little Tashka, you drink that green.
Let's bring Bruce back on. Lovely playmate there, Bruce. Tony.
Tony, I couldn't agree more. I love the north of Portugal. I've had friends living up. I've been to all the places that you mentioned. In fact, I know I'm very well travelled within the country, and at our events in the USA. I mean, for example, we were in San Francisco twice this year with events. Where next year we're going to both a bit further north, so we're going to Portland and Seattle as well. So we certainly, the west coast of the USA is where the strongest demand is for moving to Portugal, and everything that you say is absolutely right. I would say half of the people coming into those events are not looking to drop $1 million or more on a property. But many of them are, and those people are looking at Lisbon or the Algarve. But there's a strong demand amongst the people coming to our events to live in rural Portugal, be it the Alentejo, be it the north, be it Coimbra, be it wherever. And so I couldn't agree with you more. And obviously, the cost of living is far more attractive up there than it is down here in the sunny Algarve.
Just muting you up again there, Bruce. Thank you for that response. The question is still hanging there, though. Are we going to get a central and northern resident? You're looking at your first two writers on the screen.
We basically, the newspaper now is we see it as national. We changed the name from the Algarve Resident to the Portugal Resident, and the content, the editorial content, the cover story is all pretty much always national. The headline stories on the website are nearly always national. But as far as community news is concerned, that does tend to be focused on the Algarve. So no, we've tried over the years. In fact, the previous owners of the Resident tried launching a Lisbon edition and Cascais edition some years ago. It didn't work. It's very, very difficult to online. It's obviously far easier. So what we could maybe look at doing is incorporating on the website some community pages in different parts of the country. I think that could be very, very good. So certainly be happy to look at that. That's something that we could do with minimal investment. Wouldn't need the advertising support that a print publication would require. And it would create extra interest to the website. So yeah, that's given me the seed of an idea there. I quite.
How about that? Thank you, Bruce. Sorry to keep cutting you off like that with the muting, but it is dealing with our echoing, which we will sort out by the next time you come, because I'm hoping to welcome you in this slot as a regular contributor every month. It will be great to hear from you on a monthly basis, and perhaps this is it on a first Tuesday of every month. So finally for you then, could you reiterate where you're going to be? A lot of our viewers, listeners, podcast listeners are in the United States. Can you detail that schedule of promoting Portugal abroad for us, please?
Yeah. So first of all, South Africa. So that's November. We are November the 11th in Joburg and the 18th in Cape Town. Then in February, we are on the 24th in Austin, the 28th in Atlanta, and March 2nd in Chicago. They're the confirmed dates for now. The next two events in June and September, we're still working on which will be June and which will be September. This will be announced in December or January. But the venues are already confirmed. So the venues are going to be, there'll be one West Coast roadshow covering San Francisco, Oregon, and Portland. And then over the other side, we'll be doing New York for the second time, along with Chicago, and then across the border in Toronto, Canada. So
sounds amazing, Bruce. Sorry, muting you up again there. That's a fantastic schedule, and I'd be happy to come along and do an outside broadcast from any of those places in the future. So, a last word to you, Bruce, before we say goodbye, because you've had a hell of a morning, I'm sure, one way or another. We've had a few tech difficulties here, and I think you had quite the situation to deal with the breaking news about the NHR. So, last word from you, if you will.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for having me on the show, Carl. It's been great, and I look forward to doing a monthly slot. There's always going to be lots to talk about with breaking stories, and I've got a few funny stories to share with you later. So yeah, thank you very much.
Can't wait. Nice round of applause for you. Cheers, Bruce. Have a great day. Love to everybody at the Resident. We'll take Bruce off the screen for the time being. Cheers, Bruce. Fantastic. Bruce Hawker, what a fantastic debut there from the man himself at the boss, the media boss at the Portugal Resident. I think if we keep chipping away there, Tony, we're going to be all right. We're going to, may end up with some coverage for the north and central there, the interior. You make a good point. People will be looking there, won't they? The repopulation of the interior is inevitable, isn't it?
Of course. I love it. I always say to people, like, you could take the boy out of the country, but you can never take the country out of the boy. That's me. I love the countryside. I go to Porto. I was just in Porto on Friday. I went Saturday to Lisbon. I had my share of cities for now. Now I'm back here in the Minho for the next couple of weeks, and Porto, I had to go back and forth. I'm actually meeting, with some British clients, referrals from other clients we've helped here. They're going to be spending quite a bit of investment here because to rebuild older homes. And that's what I love. When people, they take the time to rebuild, they make part of the investment. They get the local builders, everything, it's kind of nostalgic when you walk by these old properties. And I'll be happy to say, probably I'll be closing on it. It's a property, it's a magnificent, one of a kind, that people know it. It's hard not to know it here in the north. And when it's going to be now developed into like a holiday residence, not a hotel because it's not that big, but it's one of these beautiful homes. More details, I'll share that with you, and maybe even the whole project will go. So I'm meeting up with my clients in a little while, and it's exciting. And that's what it's about: getting the recovering of the older buildings. And even there's a statistic, Carl. It was actually the government and actually internet. If anybody, there's a website. It's ine.pt. Okay, Instituto Nacional de Estatísticas. That's data. Okay, all the data that you could think of, and you want to go back about the prices of homes, values, everything. So Instituto ine.pt. They actually did their numbers, and the requalification still of older buildings. It's on the rise again. Granted, it's expensive to do that, and the bureaucracy and taxes associated, that's what the government has to lower. But they should make that the primary force, renovating what's already exists. Forget about building new stuff. Renovate. There's so much of it to do. And when you go to the interior village, hey, my friend, you could get some really great quality of life. Maybe you're not in the city per se of Lisbon or Porto, but there's so many Coimbra, Aveiro, which are still big cities. But you go interior-wise, there's so many of them. Vila Real, Bragança, all these interior cities, they have medical doctors, they have hospitals, they have police, they have Geniero, they have all the services. And without all the people bumping into each other, and maybe you could still listen to Portuguese and authentic. And that's what I try to promote. I mean, and again, I don't mind. I love the tourism and it's great, but I think the interior parts and renovating, Carl, that's what I love, and that's what gets me going. It gets me fired up, passion. So, that's for sure.
I can feel that. I can feel it right now, Tony. So, thank you so much for being here this morning. Now we're going to finish because we've had some great, the amazing scoop this morning about the NHR. I imagine that many people heard it first here this morning. Not Pete. Pete was ahead of everybody this morning. I need to know who his sources are. But a lot of people will have heard about the NHR. And thank you for the heads up on that beautiful property that you shared with us, and you're sharing your passion with us. And of course, we will see you tonight at 8:00 for the Getting Real on Portuguese Real Estate special presentation of the Portugal Club. That tonight at 8:00, and we'll see Tony again for that. Did you, like me the other day, Tony, cry when you saw this image on the Portuguese media, and it actually made it around the world? Off there, it's too upsetting, isn't it? But the reason I'm playing it again is because our friend Bairandi has been to the scene of the crime. We've got a minute and a half of video that we'll finish the show with today. Bairandi, you legend, he's been there to look at the aftermath of the busted wine solo, as he describes it, fresh this morning for the first time on the internet, I suspect. Back to the scene of that crime. Tony, see you tonight at 8, my friend.
See you tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow? No, later. Later on, not tomorrow. Later on at 8.
All right, mate. Ciao for now. Check this out.
Thank you, Carl.
We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you tonight. And thanks to Tony and to Bruce. Ciao.
So this is that distillery where the
Well, a couple of those big silos broke. In fact, do you reckon that's it? I reckon that might be it. See all this steel lying around. Oh, across my path. I didn't see that. That's obviously the broken silo. Wow. Look at that, and obviously was lined. You can still smell it and see the red wine there. That's huge, isn't it? I don't know why they've blocked off here, but look at me. Bit of a misty start this morning. It's supposed to clear up and be very sunny later. And then getting maybe up to the 40s later in the week. 37, 38. Anyway, we're off this way. Down the path round the back through the fields. There we go. Chavelish.
Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.